Welcome back one and all, my name is Eltimar and we are going to be continuing our Let's Play of Torment, Tides of Numenera. Where we left off last time, we were about to talk to Inkpot, I believe, and his Bloom cultists. Let's have a quick word with him. This man is tall and gawkily thin. His wiry hair looks like an explosion of metal springs atop his head. He regards you with bright, feverish eyes that seem too large for their sockets and smiles. Even as he motions you closer, the man is scribbling words on a scrap of paper. He has fastened some sort of harness around his body. It holds a tiny writing tablet and inkwell so he can continue to write as he moves about. Dozens of scrawl-covered notes are stuck to his leathery robes. I've heard rumors of one fitting your description, one who helps those in need. Help us, brother, he intones in a wet and breathy voice. We are extremities of the great devourer, and we beseech your aid to right a great wrong. Sort of wrong. A terrible torment, he whispers, visited upon the Bloom, our god. It is the work of Yonge-soo, the measurer and meddler, who dwells in that nodule of flesh. He raises his pen towards the house that sits on the other end of the platform, red and stinking and inflamed. Yonge desires to understand the Bloom, to quantify its impulses. This causes pain to our god. His eyes bulge even wider, and it occurs to you that you haven't seen him once blink. The evidence is clear for all to see, in the raw and swollen flesh of Yonge-soo's house. We have warned Yonge-soo to stop his pokings and proddings and measurings, but he will not listen. What methods are left to us? He lets the question hang in the air, an unspoken threat. Perhaps you can help him change his mind. I can try to work out some sort of compromise at least. At the word compromise, his mouth twitches. Try if you like, but blasphemers are loath to compromise. They are steeped in sin.
Updated my journal.
His face brightens and he pulls out a handful of scribbled papers from a pocket and shoves them into your hands. Scriptures! Scriptures of the great devourer, to inspire your thoughts and guide your words. Another tortured smile cuts across his face. From the pen of Inkpot, who is me? What are all those papers on your robe? Scriptures of the great devourer. They are ever-changing, an imitation of the Bloom. You see, he tears one of the scribbled papers from his robe, crumples it up, and tosses it over the side of the platform. Those words are gone, forgotten, but new ones can be added as we like. He takes a scrawled paper from this little writing desk that is strapped to his body, spits a wad of yellow phlegm onto its back, and sticks it to his robe. Ew. Now these words are part of the canon. Tell me about your beliefs. I will not speak of beliefs, he frowns, but I will tell you what is true. First, that the Bloom is a god, the only true god, and all that takes place within its body is solid and real. That which exists outside the Bloom is an illusion, a cruel trick, a falsehood. Second, he intones, is that our goal is to become one with the Bloom, to transform ourselves into living embodiments of its will, and one day to be called to its heart. You want to be called into the Bloom's heart. What does that mean? His eyes glisten. When it wants us, the Bloom will open a maw at our feet, or reveal a tunnel where one hasn't been before. The passage will close behind us, and we will never be seen again by human eyes, but we will follow its turnings to the heart, and be one with the devourer, at last, and pray to no one ever again. What do you think of the Memovira? When her will was one with the Blooms, we revered her, but no more, he frowns. She is no Memovira, not anymore, not to us. Another will be found in time. You think the ninth world is an illusion? I know it is. The people of that world try to tell you that life is not pain. They weave illusions and call them laws to protect the weak and the poor and the ugly, the malformed. But look closer, and you'll see that they lie. He spits a gob of yellow phlegm off the side of the platform. Only here in the Bloom is the horror of life revealed without pretense. Becoming one with the Bloom is our only hope of salvation. And how do you plan to do that again? We clothe ourselves in its flesh, feast on its bile and viscera. If we are lucky enough to hear its voice, we empty our minds and let it govern our actions and our thoughts. His long, misshapen fingers clench and unclench. The devourer will only call us to its heart when its will is one with ours. Let's talk about something else. Is it safe to drink the water from that pool? Better than safe. Those fluids are the holy secretions of the great devourer. To drink them is to put your mind in communion with the Bloom. He leans closer to you and your eyes are drawn to the profusion of festering sores in his mouth. Yeah, this guy's gross. You can listen to his voice and know what it wants, for a time at least. Okay, bye. I'm
going.
I'm gonna leave that dude alone because damn, he is creepy AF. That's right, I did use
Let's go.
a very stupid acronym. Let's talk to Yonge-soo. This Vargellan looks much like the others of its kind. Violet red skin, yellow eyes, a tall crest atop its head. This one appears to have chosen a male form for now. He wears thin lenses over his eyes, and some strange device encircles his head, with weighted attachments dangling at the ends of long straps. His calloused, pointed fingertips are stained, and his garments are unkempt and in disarray. He looks impatiently at you as you interrupt his work, his eyes snapping between you and the door. His crest inflates with irritation. The interruptions continue. What would you have of Yonge-soo? Why do you keep looking at the door? He sighs. Apologies for me. The noise and constant interruption from those outside are inconducive to proper behavior. They have been escalating their discussions towards violence.
I'll remember that.
The experiments conducted within this chamber are perhaps unlikely to gain the favor of the Bloom. Indeed, the great beast has evinced some displeasure. Its pathetic worshippers, who gather here to mock, have become seeking ways to stop me, an effort to appease their deity. He gives you a hopeful look. I would reward anyone who can drive them off. He glances behind you for the first time and recoils visibly upon seeing Matkina. Can it be? Stories have circulated. They said you were dead, that the Memavira had found you at last. She smiles grimly. Not yet. I'm surprised to see you're still alive, Yonge-soo. I wouldn't have wagered on it. The Varjellan bows. The White Death honors me. Stories of your prowess continue. In the meantime, I abide, gathering and learning, even in the face of the protesters outside. He shrugs. But knowledge has always had its detractors. They will do what they must. As long as my work continues on, I care not. He turns his head from side to side, seeing you with both of his eyes. What would you have of me? You know, I found this device in the bloom cyst. It seems to bear your mark. His eyes bulge, and his flat voice gains a tiny bit of modulation. The scalpel. Where did you find this? This was among the first devices I created to test the bloom. A trans-dimensional blade that could cut its flesh cleanly and preserve its properties for study. Yet a thief removed it from my care. An abacus that entered my dwelling and absconded.
I'll remember that.
A power source for the blade is lacking. Trans-dimensionally, it is required. No more such sources are at hand here, but perhaps the crashed Katina in Little Nihilish might contain such a source. Should you find one, bring it to this place, and I may be able to improve upon my earlier design. What is that device in the middle of the room? The bloom detests those who seek to understand it on a rational level. For some time now, it has sought my destruction, to ease all accomplishments here. This device generates a multi-spectrum field that repels the bloom's advances. Yonge-soo's lip curls, but this means only that it waits for me without. Had other devices not been available to create food and drink, I should have perished here. Tell me about that construct in the corner. Many years ago it came to my door. It vowed service to me if its memories and personality could be erased. I did not ask why, just as I would hope to have my own reasons respected. He rubs his eyes. It now serves to protect me against those who would do me harm. Most specifically, the Murdens and the cultists. What do you think would make the Bloom cultists leave you alone? Defeating them with reasoned arguments would be difficult, the Varjellan appears to consider. I present no danger to them, not like you. A threat of force might persuade them, but I believe they tell the truth about enjoying the Bloom's favor. To oppose them is to draw its ire. Do you have anything you're willing to sell? Oh, no, that's not the right button. I hit the wrong button.
Not safe yet. Not by a long shot. I don't remember if I told you this, but I was born here.
We Matkina'd by accident. She struggles to hide the fear that shivers through her frame. You can feel the tight control she maintains over her emotions, over her tides. She swallows hard. Woke up in the process of being devoured. I suppose the bloom saw our sire's mind leave. It dropped me, newborn, and I got out. Fled up Sage's cliffs, and that thrice damned sorrow almost snatched me then. Her voice drops, almost indistinct. I left the city, stole and hurt people on the way out, but at least I got away. So, you know what happened with the cast-offs, with the first, damn her. And let's be sure to kill her when we find her. Anyway, the bloom. After the trouble with Melmoth, I wound up here in the service of the man who became the Memavira, the old boss of this place. Listen to me. The bloom rewards cruelty and pain, and it will react to your actions, so be careful. The current Memavira and I don't get along too well. Be aware there's a history, a bloody one. I can't promise I'll be civil around here. She adjusts her cloak. Alright, let's go. I just really wanted to talk to a Yonge-soo.
Did
Damn
you
it.
want something?
Nope. I'm good right now. Rin, thank you for asking. I just wanted to buy things. Okay, what do we have? We have Psychic Focus, which is a pretty decent thing. Plus 15 on lore mystical tasks, plus 2 damage on esoteric attacks, and plus 2 damage per effort applied. on esoteric attacks. Do we have an esoteric weapon? No, we just have a light melee weapon. Although we do have an esoteric spell. We can make it better, I guess. Might be worth it. How much is this thing? 774, that's expensive. Okay, what's this thing do? +4 resistance, +4 armor. It's actually really nice, but it gives a whole bunch of negatives if you're not trained. And then ciphers. I'm not big on ciphers. It's a decent light ranged weapon, but it's speed based. That's a nice light ranged weapon that's intellect based. 10 mental damage, +2 per effort. Our weapon, I think, is better-ish, but that the ecstasy paralyzer has a on-hit dazed and possible stun, which is kind of nice. Ooh, that cipher gives +1 training and concentration permanently. Are any other ones permanent? What is that? That is a speed-braced, heavy-ranged weapon. That's a cloak of faces. What's ours do? I mean, it's okay. Scan thoughts. Surface thoughts of most people or creatures you speak with appear in conversations. Well, that's just kind of cool. I might pick that up later, but we're kind of poor at the moment. Do we have anything to sell? Not really. We should probably do those mirror casters at some point as well, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Eratus, a curious thought occurred to me.
You know I've warned you about those.
What is
Really,
this thing?
Eratus?
Papers lie scattered haphazardly across this desk. Small knowledge cubes gleam. Finger-sized implementations cast processions of glowing glyphs, and other media lie scattered throughout the mess. As you reach out to examine the objects on the desk, the Vargellan barks, "Careful! Much time has been invested in this work, and I recall where I placed each bit of data. Replace where you found each item." Can we continue to look? As you shuffle through the Vargellan's notes on paper scribbled on dried bloom flesh, gross, dictated into talking data cubes and recorded in more exotic storage devices, you realize the sheer volume of information he has collected. It is a trove of arcane and technical observations of the bloom, loosely organized in a number of categories: behavior to self and others, communication of self and others, influences, influenced by, maws, how to open, close, and divert, history, unrecorded and recorded, observations and conclusions. Every data point leads to a reference in another document. Some of those links are simply notes guessing where the data is located. Based on the Vargellan's recollection, if you knew where to start analyzing his enormous collection of knowledge, you might be able to get somewhere, but the volume of information is simply staggering. A team of Aeon priests couldn't process this much data in a year. For a lone scholar, it would likely take 10 years or more. The Vargellan has stopped glancing over as you shuffle through his notes. Instead, he is staring at you, waiting and watching. It becomes difficult to concentrate under that steady gaze, so you put the notes down and step away from the table.
I'm there.
Well, I
In
mean,
the shadows.
let's go take care of his little problem first. There's a few things we want to get done in this video. This is actually the second time I'm recording this video. The first time was abysmally bad. There was barking, there was distractions, I just decided to redo the whole thing. So I do kind of know where I'm going. Inkpot looks up at you from his scribbling, the crooked mouth shaping itself into the mockery of a smile. "We await your intercession with Yonge-soo, but our god is in pain, so we will not wait forever." If the bloom is really a god, why does it need human help at all? He frowns, confused. The need is plain. Can you look upon the swollen flesh of that house and tell me that a poison does not fester inside? Did the bloom ask for your help? His mouth quivers. It spoke to me of its need. I heard its voice in my mind. You're wrong. The bloom spoke to me about Yonge-soo. It doesn't want your help at all. Your brazen self-assurance, even though it isn't real, is enough to shake the confidence of the cultists. They exchanged worried
I'll
glimpses.
remember that.
I may have misunderstood the Devourer's intent. Perhaps I should wait, consult the scriptures. He nods to himself and fingers a few of the papers that adorn his robes. Best not to act rashly where gods are concerned.
All right.
Alright, let's go talk to him. Let him know we've solved this little conundrum. Yonge-soo. The Bloom cultists have agreed to leave you alone.
I'm ready to learn something new.
Doubts rise within. His left eye goggles at you momentarily. Extraordinary claims demand proof. He steps to the door and peers outside. He waits for a moment, closes the door, and then turns back to you. They had regarded this home and Yonge-soo, but their clamor ended. Tight smiles color their faces, but no longer do they hurl imprecations. My gratitude, I believe, is in order. Accept this and let no debt stand. He presses something small into your hands. An encephalon of subjugating revivification. Revivification? Whatever that is. It is this thing. Nanospirits reanimate the muscles of a humanoid corpse to fight by your side. Oh, cool. That's kind of fancy. Also, we gained a level. Let's level up. It is always good to gain an extra effort. And we hit tier 4, so we got Invigorating Conversation, which is kind of nice. I already know what I'm going to choose for my ability. I'm going to be choosing, not Virtuoso, Scatter Bomb. Or am I? I had such a time picking the skill I wanted last time I was looking at all of this. But what I actually might take... Scatter Bomb is kind of nice, but again, it's a speed-based attack, and we're not really good at those. We could use a Charm. Or Hedge Magic. Or we could take Practice in Armor and actually wear armor for once. You know what? Let's try that. We're also going to take Lore Natural, which puts us at 2 Lore Machinery, 1 Lore Mystical, and 1 Lore Natural.
Do you
or
ever
Natural.
think before you do
Natural.
any of the things you do?
Nice.
Never. Thinking slows your mind. Always act.
Okay. There's also one more sub-quest we're going to get done in this video.
Happy
It's
to
going
help.
to be through this tunnel. We're going to go deal with some prisoners, actually. Also, I do know where the transdimensional blade is, or transdimensional object. It's not actually at the Katina ship. It's in Little Nilium, whatever.
Yes.
Anyways, let's loot some things.
Now.
Concentrated Sperry Flesh and some Moolah.
Of course.
Moolah is important. There's some murd in here. 2 hunched avian humanoids stare at you, their bright and hate-filled eyes shining above dirty yellow beaks. You recognize them at once. Murdens. They emit a kind of psychic fuzz, a mental blanket that makes it difficult for you to concentrate. One puffs up its greasy black feathers to make itself look larger, while the other scrapes close to the ground. Their arms wave and gesture, and the intent is clear: go no further. I'm going to say move aside or I'll tear out your feathers and roast you on a spit. We're going to use Eridus for this because he is the best at might and the best at intimidation. The creatures lower their weapons slowly and back away to the corners of the room, never taking their eyes off of you.
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Okay, we're going to quick save here. There is, I'm going to show you guys a funny way of dealing with this conversation that's coming up, and then the real way you should actually do it. So this is Skoura the Faceless. This creature stirs and mutters at your approach. Though the form is recognizably humanoid, her head is horribly disfigured. Something has wiped her face clean of features, leaving an expanse of mottled and bulbous flesh, save only a horrifically enlarged mouth and 2 small holes where her ears should be. She hears your approach and clutches a small jar close to her chest. What would you have with Skoura? Though my looks have been stolen, scribbled away by a million thoughtless particles, I can hear your breathing, I can taste what others can only smell. Your fear, your exertion. She smacks her oversized lips. Tell me, if you had lost your sight, what price would you pay for its return? What price? Time only, I suppose. My eyes would regrow eventually.
Making a note.
True. Ha! I might have expected such an answer from someone with a strange taste like yours. I would welcome such a gift, but I can tell that you haven't experienced the privation of blindness. She nods towards her jar. This is a piece of the Iron Wind. It is my most prized possession, and I would give it away in a moment if it meant that I could see you once again. What happened to you? I was a nano once, a researcher on the cutting edge of science, of nanospirits in particular. I sought to harness the power of the Iron Wind. But the shields, my shields, they gave away around me, and the Iron Wind swirled in and found me. She smiled sadly, she smiled sadly, her immense mouth drooling. She passed the jar. I captured some of the Iron Wind here, but it still remade me. I was cast out, an abomination, and now I skulk and beg for my living. At least the Murdens fear me. So the Iron Wind stole your face. Is it in that jar? If so, can I see it? Perhaps I should hold on to that jar, especially if it steals faces. So this is the funniest way of doing this. Yes, but you have to get Skoura's permission. Apparently he doesn't hear anything past the word yes, because he moves with amazing speed to take the jar from Skoura's hands. Beg pardon, my lady, but we can't have face-stealing jars sitting around and mocking their victims. We'll set this jar right. He gives the jar a solid shake. Is this sealed tightly? It seems a little loose. It sounds like sand is moving around inside. Is that the sound faces make when they're removed? It's kind of a whooshing noise. Somehow, with idiot luck, he opens the lid. It fades in a haze of energy, and a wave of grayish-red particles spill out in a vortex of unimaginable power. They wash over you and through you, rewriting your genetics at the most atomic level, changing you forever. And that is actually the end of the game if you do that. You flat out die. There's a thing that endures, twisted and knotted from cast off flesh. The Iron Wind has made a puzzle from you. One that asks who was the greater fool, Eratus for unleashing the wind, or you for letting him. So that's the way you can end that conversation. It also ends the game pretty abruptly, so, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. So we're going to do the same thing again, except...
Making a note.
What happened to you? We're going to say, no, Eratus. I think that would be a bad idea. She nestles the jar close to her, her hands hovering above the controls. A very bad idea. Stay back, you creature of dancing smells. Good smells, I hope, not like the rest of this place. Or you, my lady. He blushes and quickly tries to cover his mistake. Not that you smell so bad, all things considered. He hesitates. Wait, you don't have a nose. She shakes her head at him, baring her teeth as he backs away. My companion Eratus has an interesting problem. I'm wondering if you can help him. Let us find out, she mutters, reaching out. Take Skoura's hand. He does so with great reluctance, turning to you, not noticing that his glow is flowing up her arm. Her arm, and fits... Blech. I'm going to restart that sentence. Sorry. He does so with great reluctance, turning to you, not noticing that his glow is flowing up her arm and fits and starts. I don't know why you think I have a problem, he says. I'm a hero, after all. I don't have any... He goes rigid, eyes rolling into the back of his head. What are you doing to him? Sampling the nanospirits that have possessed your friend, she says, calmly tightening her grip over Eratus's convulsing hand. A single tendril of his golden aura sinks into a hole at the crook of her elbow. How can I purge them? You can't, she says, shrugging a misshapen shoulder. They've taken root in him, and there they'll stay until the end, of course. She smiles. Now it's my turn. How did you learn of your friend's problem? His original personality is trapped in my mind. I could hear them talking. Perfect, she says, though the information doesn't seem to have surprised her all that much. Well, return to your mind and follow my instructions to the letter.
I'll remember that.
Skoura has the faintest gold aura now. Once there, call them by their names. The stronger ones are paragons, the weaker ones. She pauses, smacking her lips. The glow around her fades. Cathartics. Call them forth and they will speak to you. Perhaps you'll be able to convince them to leave your friend alone. She abruptly releases Eratus' hand and he stumbles back, massaging his wrist. I think I slept, Eratus says, in tones of soft wonder. I never sleep. His glow returns inch by inch. Now, says Skoura, shifting beneath her rags. What else? What do you want me to do for you? Do you not listen? I am blind and I would see. I don't care how it's done. Restore my sight and I will give you my jar of wind. Let's examine the jar she holds. Made from an opaque battered metal, it seems to thrum with energy. Small lights flicker in the air above it. Skoura's lips slobber in a toothy smile. My pride and my punishment all in one, she says. Then she hides it behind her back, and if you want it, you'll help me regain my sight. If not, you'll never know its wonders. That's fair. I'll help you out.
Soul of action.
There's a random room in here. Oh, with some jars. An essence of single sigh, which is an oddity. Worth a bit of money.
Trust and honesty
And
are
we
our
will sell
bonds.
that eventually. Crumbling masonry serves as a testament to the past effort to reinforce the walls, but the bloom seems to have other ideas. This old metal door looks fairly solid. It has a single mechanical lock. You notice that the mechanism appears complicated, suggesting that it's more than just a simple lock. Let's pick the lock. Matkeen is good at that kind of stuff. The lock is challenging, but not overly difficult to open. Just as you push the final tumbler into place, you accidentally depress a bladder of air that in turn activates a tiny nozzle. Acid sprays all over you. The pain is excruciating. At least the door's open. You took a tiny bit of damage. That's okay, though. There are 2 people in here. 2 men share the cell. Both of them wear the armor of the Memavira's soldiers. A third soldier lies on the ground nearby, lifeless. One of the survivors is badly hurt, bleeding and clutching his side. The other, a younger man, appears uninjured. His hands are bound with rusty manacles, and he looks up at you blearily, with eyes that suggest he's waiting for the butcher's blade. When he realizes you're not a Murden, his face lights with frantic hope. Oh, thank the gods you've come. If you can free us, you can name your reward with Bruska or with the Memavira herself. How'd you get here? We've been on this route for a long time. A very long time. We never had any trouble with the Murdens before. They've always paid their tribute, so we had no reason to think that they'd try and slaughter us. We fought back, and we survived the fight, but he gestures to his companion. I don't know how much longer he'll survive. We need your help to escape. Have you been treated? They give us some bowls of slop now and then, but I don't dare eat it. If I used it as a chamber pot, you'd never know the difference. Otherwise, they ignore Zebek and me. I mean, if you don't count the time where they came in here and ate pieces off Pell. They're keeping us fresh is what I think, instead of letting us rot. Our turn will come. I'm sure of it. Let's free them. There's a key by the door, friend. He says, just use that and excellent, he finishes as you unlock him and his friend. Can I trouble you for something else? With the shape Zebek is in, there's no way we can get out of here alive. At least not with the Murden guards watching the entryway. Can you do something about them? If you go and hide in the next cell, I'll tell the Murden guards that you've escaped. That should give you time. A solid plan. We'll wait for you here. When you give us the word that the way is clear, we'll make a run for it. I don't know if helping these people is the right thing to do, but I feel that is probably the best thing to do.
Fine.
Also, how close is everyone else to leveling? Matkina will level up pretty soon.
Of course.
Let's go talk to the Murden. The Murden draws back from you hissing, and it looks nervously to his comrade on the other side of the room. It emits a burst of mental static that feels like trepidation. I need to speak with you. The Murden pulls a knife from his leathery cloak and waves it around to keep you back. It gestures to the other Murden, then spits a foul glob of yellow sputum at your feet to emphasize its point.
Done.
Man, that one doesn't like me. Let's try this one then. The Murden puffs itself up, its greasy black down expanding as its beady eyes size you up. You notice that this creature is slightly larger than its comrade. It croaks a harsh and glottal challenge, and a burst of mistrustful static fuzzes your thoughts. Your prisoners are gone. The creature looks at you blankly for a moment, then darts a quick glance at its comrade. You sense a staticky psychic exchange between them, and they turn to dash down the corridor.
If you think that's best.
We're in a quick save here. Time to let these dudes go free. The soldier's expression is pain, but he looks determined. We're getting out of here, eh? Your name is Zebek? I think I met your children in Sage's Cliffs. Zeb and Nim? He reaches a shaking hand to clutch your shoulder. Are they well? They were fine when I last saw them. His grip on your shoulder tightens and his eyes grow wet. Thank the gods, he whispers. If I survive this, I'm going home. Never letting them out of my sight again. Don't care what Bruska says. He shakes his head. Time has a way of slipping out of your hands in the bloom. That's what they say. I never meant to stay so long. Maybe look at your wounds. Aye, he murmurs, healing back his blood-caked armor. He looks at you with a mix of hope and dread, probably assuming you're a healer. Fortunately, you have some knowledge of medicine, or you remember some of your sire's knowledge perhaps. The soldier's wounds don't smell of corruption, and you're certain they're survivable, but only with treatment, which he won't get until he escapes his cell. What happened to you? Double-crossed by the Murdens, we came to collect the boss lady's tribute, as we always do. They fell on us like the mudbirds they are. He puts a hand to his side, broke one of their beaks with my fist, got me a couple stab wounds for my trouble. Tell me again. Okay, well, we can't really do anything about it. Still, it's got to rank a run for it. It's clear, you should be able to make your way to safety. Go. You have our gratitude, friend. Farewell. That was some gold, so obviously we did the right thing. I wonder if we can go talk to those Murden.
Yes.
I wonder if they will attack us for helping those two escape. Nope, they're just
Let's
Gurhitzis.
go all.
So
You
in
and
the
me.
next video, we're actually going to go talk to the Murden chief and the translators and whatever, and we'll see what comes of this. But that is a story from another time. Hope you guys have a great night. I will see you in the next video. It's going to be on Tuesday, as Monday is Stellaris Night, multiplayer Stellaris Night. I'm also going to be starting a Stellaris series at some point in this next week. Probably on Friday, as I do have the day off, and I'll have some time to do some serious recording, get a couple Torment videos done, as well as a bunch of Stellaris. So, take care everyone, have a good night, and I will see you next time.